I was flying across the world by myself at 17 to go meet this guy I'd never met before in Johannesburg. And this was at the peak of COVID. So funny enough, talking about parents, that was a very big challenge, convincing them to let me do that. But that was the best experience I've ever had in my life, 100%. But going back to the main thing, the hardest part was I went to Cape Town and I landed there. He wasn't in town at the time, so I actually landed there and I knew nobody. I was 10,000 miles from home and I'd never been there before. I had booked my Airbnb from when I was still home, so I didn't even know the area. I was like, okay, this one looks kind of nice, so I'll book it. And it turned out it was in De Waterkant, which is not the nicest area.
Hello and welcome to my podcast, Become. My name is Sabine Kvenberg and I am your host. The content will inspire you to reach your aspirations and become the best version of yourself. I feature interviews with successful individuals from various industries delving into their personal and professional journey, how they overcame adversities and the strategies they used to achieve their goals. We have to become the person we are meant to be first, so we can live the life we are destined to live. That also means we must overcome challenges and work through difficult times to learn, grow, and become the next, more fabulous version of ourselves. I'm so glad that you're here. Let's get on this journey together. Hello and welcome. My guest today is Logan Lesser, and I can't wait to hear his story and get his perspective from where he is in his life right now. But first of all, welcome, Logan. How are you today?
Thanks, Sabine. Good to be here. I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Good. Yeah, I'm fantastic. And so before we start into really getting into the interview and me asking you some questions that I'm really eager to ask, why don't you give our audience just a quick review of who you are and what you now do?
Yeah, so I'm Logan. I am basically a national motocross racer, national motocross champion, also a business owner. Started my first business at 15, and I also travel the world, live in Cape Town, South Africa throughout the year. I'm currently 19 years old, so definitely still very young, definitely still got a long way to go, a lot to learn, but I do feel like I've gone through a lot of very significant experiences. I've had a lot of significant experiences in my life and have pushed through a lot of adversity and have been able to grow myself physically and mentally to the point where I can kind of share some of the things that I've learned with people and help them as they go through life as well, which that's actually the main thing I'm doing right now is building my personal brand and coaching people to help them basically level up physically and mentally in the same ways that I have over the last couple of years.
Wow. I have to tell you, yes, in human years, age 19 is very, very young. But from what I hear, not just your experiences, but also what you say and how you say it, you are an old soul. And that was actually attracting me to have you on this podcast, because usually I work with individuals who've already gone through different life stages and businesses and, really overcame a lot of challenges. But with that said, just in your short life, it looks like you have overcome a lot of challenges. And I mean, who can say that you traveled the world with age 19, started your first business with age 15? So I have a lot of questions to ask you. So why don't we begin by, what was your first business when you were just 15 years old?
Yeah, so it was nothing exciting. I basically started in the world of drop shipping and it didn't go well. Like I'll say transparently, it was not successful at all, but it was important because it introduced me into the world of business and entrepreneurship and just being your own boss, which the way that it started is it's kind of funny because I remember it so vividly because I was literally just sitting on my bed at home one day during summer. And at the time I was very into video games. So I think I was watching probably YouTube and video games or something like that. And an ad came up talking about drop shipping. And for whatever reason, it just kind of clicked in my head, and I was like, okay, that makes sense. That's an interesting concept. So I looked into it further, and then literally, I don't know what led me down the rabbit hole or gave me so much like drive to go down the rabbit hole of it, but I ended up just going completely into that and did that for like nearly a year before transitioning into the main business I've done the last couple years, which is a marketing agency. But yeah, no, that was the first thing, which it didn't go well. It didn't succeed. I lost a lot of money with it, but it was a very, very necessary experience and kind of just getting my foot into the door of business, entrepreneurship, and just the possibilities that are out there.
What you just shared was, was a golden nugget by itself. Because a lot of times people think, oh, they're looking at other people. They're so successful. They're successful business owners, entrepreneurs, but they don't see what it takes to get there. And
Yeah.
for 99%, I almost would say, every successful entrepreneur has plenty of failures. And usually the first business is not what makes you successful in that business, but leads you to another successful path for another business to come in the future. So what you said, it was important. The second golden nugget was, I lost a lot of money. And that is where sometimes people just stop and say, whoa, that's not for me. It was bad. And they're pulling themselves down rather than seeing, hey, yes, I did. That was my learning investment. Now let's go on to the next one. So how did it work for you when you saw, oh my gosh, I lost a lot of money. I'm losing money. Now, what am I doing next? What was that transition for you?
Yeah, so I was really lucky. Like, I will say the stars aligned for me because I met someone who's been really important in my life. He's a really good friend of mine now. And he started out as my mentor in the whole drop shipping space and everything. And basically he mentored me with that. And then eventually, just as he saw me trying and trying and trying, but just things weren't clicking, he just eventually introduced me to, hey, instead of spending all this money, why don't you run a marketing agency, which basically takes basically zero startup costs in order to start it up. And then from there, you can work with clients and get them really good results, basically learn that way. And also, the beauty of running an agency or any type of agency in general is you basically learn the whole spectrum of business, because you have to learn marketing, you have to learn sales to get clients, you have to learn how to actually provide the service, you have to learn how to deal with happy clients, mad clients, build a team, manage a team. You have to basically learn every aspect of business while running an agency. So that was really attractive to me, because I was like, okay, the dropshipping, like I haven't really made any money with it. I've spent a lot. So why don't I go into something now? Because I had basically run out, like I didn't have any more money to spend. So at that point I was like, okay, why don't I just jump into this, which takes basically zero money in order to start, but it has a lot of potential in regards to what I can make. But the most important thing was the potential of what I could learn from it, because I knew that I knew at the time, like before I even started, I was like, I'm not going to run an agency for my whole life. Like, this is just the season I'm in right now. And I'm going to run this and learn a lot from it. And then I can use that to go into the next thing, which at the time, my plan was to do the agency, run that, build up like a cash flow machine, learn a lot from it, and then go back to the drop shipping model and basically build my own brand using what I had learned. But I just never ended up doing that. I just went with the marketing agency, and then now transitioning into obviously helping people.
Okay. So tell us about the marketing agency. So you worked for others to market other people's product, or what was your marketing agency?
Yeah, so basically we worked with e-commerce brands, basically any business that sells products online. And what we did was we ran their marketing for them. So just like advertising in order to try and bring them more sales. So I had to like go out and basically get clients and basically sell them our service and tell them like, here's what we're going to do. Here's why we're better than everybody else out there. Here's how we're going to get results. And basically worked with them in order to help them build their brand, build their business. And basically that was that was the model in a nutshell. And then just growing, landing more and more clients. And that marketing agency is what led me to going to South Africa for the first time, because when I first actually started in it, I started by working with my mentor, because he basically invited me like, hey, come join me, because he was basically starting a new agency himself, and he was like, why don't you just come work with me for a while, learn a little bit for like 6 months, and then you can go back to your own thing. But funny enough, after a few months into it, I was like, I saw the potential. I enjoyed working with him. Him and I had become good friends. So I was like, why don't we partner on this and we'll build this up together? And that's what we did for a few years.
That is amazing. I mean, just the foresight that you had. Now, being 15 or then 16 when you, if I do my math right, going and
Yeah.
starting a marketing agency, what was the support that you had from your family? Didn't they say, you're crazy, you better should go finish school and go to college? What was that dynamic?
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm also blessed because I have an amazing family and the best parents on the planet. But I will say they have always been extremely supportive. Like, I don't know why, but even when I jumped into the whole drop shipping thing and told them what I was doing, they kind of were like, that's so cool, like blah blah blah. Like, they were basically going along with it, and they'd be like, what's the new product you're testing? Have you made any sales today? Like, it was cool. They were always super super supportive. But the only parts which I had to push through, which I think some of the younger viewers they might be going through this, they could definitely relate, is when I started to kind of tell them like, hey guys, I want to pursue this, like not necessarily the dropshipping, but I want to pursue just being my own boss, building my own business. I don't want to go to college. I don't want to do that. I've always been I was always an A+ student, like a really, really good student through school and everything. And I had originally planned on going to MIT or Colorado School of Mines, and I wanted to be an engineer, you know? So when I got into the whole entrepreneurship space, I saw the potential of it, and I just saw the contrast of being my own boss, entrepreneur, being able to travel, all these things, versus going through college, staying in school for another like 4 years, and then getting a job. And I just didn't like that idea. I'd much preferred this. So I wanted to go all in on the business side. Once I started to kind of portraying that, that's where the wall kind of came up, and they shifted a little bit, and they were like, okay, wait a second. This is cool what you're working on here, but it kind of brought up the reality of, I think they were looking at it as more of kind of like a hobby and like a fun thing I was doing and something I was working on and trying to be successful with, but they didn't see it as like a long-term thing, and they still saw me going to college and everything. So I will say that was a challenge to push through, but for whatever reason, I can genuinely say I never let my guard down with that, and I I held strong with like, this is what I'm doing. And I had a lot of very heated conversations with my parents just about college and my plan moving forward and all this stuff. And my dad would come to me sometimes, and this was only a few times, and I will reiterate, they've always been very supportive, but being amazing parents that they are, they still were very worried about me. You know, they want me to be successful. They don't want me to fall down a rabbit hole of not being successful. So he would come down, and I'd be working and everything, and he'd come ask me and be like, so what makes you think that you're going to make it when you're competing against all these groups of people and kids who are at these prestigious colleges trying to do the same thing? And I was I was basically like, I don't care what they're doing. I know I'm going to do it. So I don't know why, but I was just like that, and I kind of just brushed it off. Obviously it bothered me a little bit, but that was just something I had to push through. And luckily I was able to push through it, because funny enough, over time, as they saw me working, because that was one thing, like they saw the work, they saw me genuinely just obsessed with it, and I was working constantly. That's all I was thinking about, like everything. So they saw that I was doing the work. Like I wasn't just talking, I was doing it. And then aside from that, once they saw that I actually started landing clients and getting paid, then they started to ease off a little bit, and they were like, okay, this is working. Which, funny enough, my school friends started like, I'd tell them like how much I was making, which it wasn't like a whole lot. It was a few thousand a month. But
Well,
I started
hey,
telling them that,
for a college
yeah,
for a high school student, right? A few thousand a
yeah.
month, that's like a fortune.
Yeah, no, the big thing was the fact I was making it on the internet, and my friends were like, "That's so cool," blah blah blah. But they would go tell their parents, and their parents at first wouldn't believe them. But then my one really good friend, she's still a really good friend of mine. She would always joke with me and tell me that her parents thought I was a drug dealer because they didn't believe that I was making money. They were like, "He's making money on the internet. Like, how is that even a thing? How is that possible?"
Let me hop in here real quick to share something with you. Have you ever tried to build your own website, start a newsletter, or build a course and charge for it? Have you ever wanted to make money online but are totally confused by all the different systems you need to have? That's why I use Kajabi. Kajabi is the most popular system for online marketers, coaches, thought leaders, and influencers. Kajabi helps online entrepreneurs take off. The best thing is you don't have to figure out tons of systems or crazy technology to start your online business. Kajabi helps you do all of that, and it's all on one platform. That's why I use it. It makes my life so much easier, and I can even earn money while I'm sleeping. You can build your web pages, blogs, and membership sites. You can create offers, checkout pages, and collect money. You can host your videos. You can start your newsletter list, capture emails, start your marketing funnels, all in one place. It makes it fun and easy with awesome tutorials and support. Since I've joined Kajabi from the beginning, I have a special affiliate link that I would like to share with you. A 30-day free trial. So nothing to lose, but everything to gain. Just go to my link that's in the show notes, sabinekvenberg.com/resources, and we will redirect you to the free trial page. So now let's get back to the show.
So it was really funny. But long story short, over time, I just held strong with the fact that I believed in myself, and they saw that, they saw the work, and then they ended up seeing the results. And over time, they just shifted and basically were like, okay, he's doing it, he can do this. And now if I talk to them about college, they're like, why would you go to college? Like, blah, blah, blah. So they've completely shifted 100%, which is kind of funny.
Yes, and what you just shared, there were like three things I wanted to point out. Number one is your belief. You were very strong. You stayed strong in your vision, but that's not enough. What you did, you were obsessed with it and you worked your butt off. And that's what Napoleon Hill says in his book, Think and Grow Rich, that you have to be almost obsessed with what you're doing and put in the work. And that also strengthens your belief. And then the third thing is you showed results. And when you have results, that in turn raises the belief in people and in our own, right? That's that loop that we have. You have to get started. You have to take action, right? What would you say was the hardest part in the process, starting from zero, having zero clients, not much experience that you can even show for? Like, hey, and because I'm asking this because a lot of people stop there because they think they are not good enough to even talk to people. So tell us how you did it from not knowing really what marketing is to then getting the clients.
Yeah, so I would say the hardest part for me, which this was a big shifting point for me, was, which it's funny because it was actually a decent ways into the process. I had already been to South Africa once for 2 months, and then I went back and I was in Cape Town this time, and I was going to stay there for 3 months, which this was my first time in Cape Town because the first time I went there, I went to Johannesburg, but I went to Cape Town, and the first time I went and I was meeting up with my mentor at the time, business partner, which it's kind of funny. I had been working with him for like 2 years, but I had never met him in person before. It was 100% virtual. And I was flying across the world by myself at 17 to go meet this guy I'd never met before in Johannesburg. And this was at the peak of COVID. So, funny enough, talking about parents, that was a very big challenge convincing them to let me do that. But that was the best experience I've ever had in my life, 100%. But going back to the main thing, the hardest part was I went to Cape Town and I landed there. He wasn't in town at the time, so I actually landed there and I knew nobody. I was 10,000 miles from home and I'd never been there before. I had booked my Airbnb from when I was still home, so I didn't even like know the area. I was like, okay, this one looks kind of nice, so I'll book it. And it turned out it was in De Waterkant, which is not the nicest area. So it was a little bit sketchy. It was still a nice Airbnb, but it was just a little bit iffy on the area. But overall, I landed there and then got all settled into my Airbnb and stuff. And I was a little flustered just because of obviously the travel and just everything. It was definitely a lot, And at that time, I was 18.
Yeah, I would say it can be overwhelming.
Yeah, and
with age 17.
At that time, I had like just turned 18. But overall, that was like the one time in my life, that initial week, that was the one time in my life that I felt the feelings of like depression, and nothing crazy, but I genuinely did go through it a little bit. And I kind of realized like I would wake up early in the morning and then I'd go and sit at my computer and work. And I had also been racing my whole life. Like at the time I had still been racing motocross and at a national level, and that had been my life, my family, like that's a major family sport. So I had left that, not completely yet, but I had basically left it quite a bit, left it behind, and I had gone all in on this. And I kind of just sat there and I was like, what am I doing? Like, why am I doing this? I'm 10,000 miles from home. I don't know anybody here. I'm sitting in this small Airbnb, working at my computer all day on these things, which I mean, in agency, it's not the most exciting thing in the world, and it's not the coolest either. Like if I go and tell people like, oh yeah, I'm working on a marketing agency, they're not like, it's not like I'm working on a rocket, for SpaceX or something. Like it's not that exciting. So, and honestly, motocross is exciting. Like it's cool. Like it genuinely is very cool. So I went from kind of the cool side to this more boring side. And I just was sitting there like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? And I just all of a sudden realized like I knew the what's, like I knew what I wanted. Like, yeah, I wanted the money. I wanted the fast cars. I wanted the ability to travel. I wanted to be able to take care of my family, like all this stuff. But I didn't know the why. And I didn't know like why do I want the cars? Why do I want to travel? Like, why do I want this over racing? Like, why would I prefer to go make a bunch of money versus just traveling the country racing with my family? Like, what's the why here? So that led me down the rabbit hole of literally all last year. If I summed it up in like the biggest area of growth for me, it was mindset, because I was able to just figure out, first of all, my why I was doing it, and being able to kind of remind myself every day, like why this is worth it, why I want to actually pursue this. And then also just kind of pushing through the adversity and really just being able to understand how my mind works and how to push through certain things. So that was big last year, but I will say, I think that was one of the hardest parts, is just because that was a moment where I genuinely like sat there and I was very stuck, because I was like, I am 10,000 miles from home right now and I don't know why. So it was a little scary.
So what was your why?
The why
what is your why?
The why at the end of the day, it's a combination of a lot of things. If I was to sum it up, like the three main things that I want is, I want the financial freedom of basically being able to take care of my family, retire both of my parents, not have them have to work anymore, and be able to just give them whatever life that they want, while being able to basically never have to look at the price tag of anything ever again. So that's that. And then I also want to be able to have the time freedom where literally the way I explain it is I could disappear for a month and not touch anything. And my stuff is still running and I still have cash flow coming in. And then also the travel freedom where I don't have anything holding me down. I can travel anywhere. One thing I learned about myself that I genuinely didn't, I overlooked it for so long, because I had traveled a lot, but I overlooked it and didn't realize it was so important to me, is travel. Like I genuinely love traveling to different places. And I realized that when I went to South Africa for the first time. So that's when I kind of realized like I want to be able to travel. Like if I want to go to Switzerland tomorrow, I want to be able to book my ticket and go.
It comes down to freedom.
Yep, that's exactly it.
Financial freedom, time freedom, the independence from anything.
Yeah.
Being independent. And when you have the financial means, you are more independent than somebody else who has to work a job,
Yeah.
who has to stay, who, you fill in the blank. So, and that's what I'm working with my clients is I help them to teach them how to create that freedom lifestyle.
Yeah.
How to do this using their talent. And we all have a special gift that been given to us from our creator, a talent. And then what you do with that talent is another story.
Yeah.
But we all have it. And especially now in today's world, where artificial intelligence is literally taking over.
Yeah.
And if we do not adapt to that new world that we live in right now, we can be left behind.
Exactly.
And so that is so crucial for us to have that understanding and that we are actually in control. We are in the driver's seat, no matter where you are, who you are, what you have today. You are in the driver's seat to make the decisions. And what you shared so well today, Logan, was, you can start from knowing nothing.
Yeah.
As long as you put in your effort and focus on it. And I must say kudos to you, because usually when, boys or girls for that matter, age 16, 17, it's like, I'm not sitting here in front of the computer the whole day. I want to go out partying.
Yeah.
I want to see, my peers.
Yeah.
So what you did, Logan, you were basically set not now to quote unquote pleasure, experiences and whatnot. Not now. You postponed that. You put in the hard work now so that you can later on can have the freedom that you so desire. What are you doing right now? Is there something new that you have on the horizon?
Yeah, so the marketing agency is kind of my side thing now. It's kind of just like I've just built it and it's just running. I've got some clients over there and a really good team and stuff. Whereas now what I've also learned over the past couple years, especially recently, is I genuinely really like helping people. And as cheesy as that sounds, I didn't start that way. I was greedy, very, very greedy. Like all I wanted was the money, the commission. Even with my marketing agency, I didn't care about the clients or the results. I just wanted to make the money. But then once I actually saw, like with experience, I saw the results that we were getting for clients and I saw the happy ones. And then I also saw when we didn't get results and I saw the effect it had on the client as well. That's when I had that emotional feeling and I realized how important it was to me that I genuinely wanted to help people. And even running my marketing agency, like over time, I would go so above and beyond for some clients where I would spend my own money to try and like get their business going and just doing other things that had nothing to do with what we were doing to just try my absolute best. Like if it wasn't working, I would be spending my own money to try and just put some things together to see if it would work. Because I genuinely just hated seeing us not get results for these clients. So
where the shift really came, and if somebody's listening right now, maybe trying to start their business, the shift for you came when you stopped chasing the money.
Yeah.
When you started to really caring for people.
Yeah.
That when you saw that whatever you do has an impact, either a positive or even a negative impact.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that you shared, when you saw that the people didn't get the result, you went the extra mile. even investing some of your own money to get them results. That for me, Logan, shows how much you care, what genuine person you are, and the work that you put in to really go through this transition, discover your higher self that lives within you, made the difference in the world. And I can tell you, you will go places. This, what you do right now, is just the beginning. I can't wait to see where you are 10, 20 years from now.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And no, I love it.
Yes. And I'll make sure to put your contact information into the show notes. And people can, of course, always get you and follow you on Instagram, Logan Lesser. Is that your handle?
Yeah, it's Logan_Lesser. So pretty easy to find.
Logan_Lesser. Yeah. Here we go. We got it. Well, thank you so much for being here today. And I wish you all the best.
Yeah, thank you, Sabine. It was amazing.
That was my interview, and if you enjoyed it, give us a 5-star review, leave a comment, and share it with your friends. Thanks for listening. Until I see you again, always remember, serve from the heart, follow your passion, and live the life you imagine.